In this tutorial, I will show you the best SG optimizer settings for a high Google speed test score when you're using SiteGround hosting and the Elementor plugin to design your websites. The SG optimizer plugin is included for free for SiteGround hosting users, so if you don't use SiteGround, then you will have to use another plugin to improve the Google speed test results. With the default settings for the SG optimizer, the Google speed test score was not very good for my website. So if you're experiencing the same thing, then this tutorial will help you to improve the results. In this tutorial, I will also give you some tips to help you to optimize the speed of your website. So don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel to support me if you like these tutorials. I would appreciate it very much. And in the description of this post, you will also find a link to the blog post for this tutorial on my website. So to see the speed test score of your website, you just have to go to the Google PageSpeed Insights tool. You can use it for free. And there you can enter a URL for the website that you want to analyze. And in this case, I have used my own URL for my own website. So you can click on Analyze, and it will take up a couple of seconds to load. And then you can see the score for the desktop view over here at the desktop tab. And over here you can see it for the mobile view. So let's go over to the mobile view first. So I'll click on it, and over here you can see that the score is 79 for the performance. For the accessibility, it's 100. For the practical tips, it's also 100. And for the SEO, it's 100 also. So it's a pretty good score. In general, the scores for mobile devices are lower compared to the desktop view. So if you want to view the desktop view, then you can just click on this tab, as I've just showed you. And here you can see that the performance is 96, so it's almost 100. And the accessibility, the practical tips, and also the SEO are 100 as well. I must say that it is possible to achieve the maximum score for all the metrics on mobile and desktop, but then you have to use a paid plugin. And in this tutorial, I only want to show you how you can do it with the free SG Optimizer plugin, so you won't have to rely on any paid plugins. First thing what we need to do now is we have to go to the Site Tools panel for the website that you want to optimize the speed for. So log into your Site Tools account, and over here in the menu you can see the speed option. And there you will have the caching option. Now select caching by clicking on it. You can see the NGINX direct delivery tab. So that one is selected right now. Make sure that this option is enabled. Then the next thing to do is click on the meme cached option. So click on it. You have to make sure that this option is enabled as well. So now these options are enabled, we can move on to the SG Optimizer settings in the WordPress dashboard. As you can see, I have the WordPress dashboard over here, and over here you have the SG Optimizer plugin settings. So just click on it, and now you see the SG Optimizer dashboard with the options, caching, and also environment, front end, and media. You can go through all the settings by clicking on these options over here, but you can also do it from the menu on the left. As you can see over here, you have the caching, environment, front end, media, and at the bottom you have the speed test. And that is linked to the Google speed test, connected to the results of this speed test from Google. But in the dashboard, you will see way less information that can help you to optimize your website. So as I've mentioned in other tutorials, you can use the speed test for a quick scan of your website, but you should use the PageSpeed Insights to really get a good look on how your website is performing. So now I'll show you the options and the settings that you have to do by walking these over one by one, and I will start off with the first, with caching. So I click on it. I won't go too much in details about what all the options are for, because then the video will become very long. So that's why I'll keep it short and simple, and I'll just show you the settings that you need to do, and I'll give you some good tips along the way. So first, make sure that you have these options enabled. That's the dynamic caching, the file-based caching, and also meme cached. So turn those on. Then scroll down, and over here you can see automatic purge, which is recommended. Also enable this, so make sure it's switched on. Then you can scroll down a little bit. I have the browser specific caching turned off, so I don't enable this. And that's everything that you have to do over here at this page. So you can leave everything else at the default settings. So now we go on to the next option, which is environment. So I'll click on it. Over here you have to make sure that the HTTPS enforce option is enabled. So as you can see, I have done over here. And also I have done it for fix insecure content. So this option is enabled as well. And if I scroll down a little bit, you can see that the WordPress heartbeat optimization is set to 120 seconds, and that's also recommended. So that's the case by default, I believe. So make sure it's set to 120 seconds, and you can leave everything else at the default settings. So now we go over to the next option in the menu, which is front end. So I'll click on it. And over here you can see 3 different tabs. The first one is CSS, the second one is JavaScript, and the third one is general. So I'll show them one by one, and we'll start off with the CSS settings. So this one is selected. So over here you have to make sure that the minify CSS files is turned on. So enable this, and also enable the combine CSS files option over here. You can leave the preload combined CSS disabled, so don't turn this on. So after you have done these 2 options, then we can go over to the JavaScript tab. So I'll click on it. So over here you can enable the following options. So the first one is minify JavaScript files, which is recommended. So make sure to enable this. Also enable the combine JavaScript files option, as you can see over here. And also enable defer render blocking JavaScript. So make sure these options are enabled, and you can leave everything else at the default settings. Then we go over to the next step, which is general. So I'll click on it. Over here you have to make sure that the minify the HTML output, which is also recommended, is enabled. So turn this on. Also enable the web fonts optimization by enabling it. You can remove query strings from static resources, so don't enable this, but you can enable the disable emojis option, as you can see over here. So enable everything except for the remove query strings from static resources, and then you can leave everything else at the default settings. So that was all for the front end. So now we go over to the media options that you can see over here. So I'll click on it. Over here at the top you can see the image compression option, which is recommended, and I have enabled this. As you can see that the image compression level is medium, 60%, and the original images backups are disabled. If you haven't enabled this option yet, then you can do so by clicking on edit. And over here you can see as well that the compression level is set to medium, 60%, and this option is disabled, and those 2 options at the bottom are enabled. So if you want to do this compression for your images, then you can click on confirm, and then it will take a couple of minutes to load. And because I have already done it, I won't do that right now, but it's very easy to do. So that's the only steps you have to take. So click on the blue button, and then it will compress all the images. Let's go over to the next option, which is to use WebP images, which is also recommended. So make sure to enable this. So turn this on, then scroll down and go over to the media optimization options. The first one over here is the lazy load media, which is also recommended. So you can enable this by clicking on this option, and you can leave everything else at the default settings. So now we are completely done with all the SG optimizer settings, and now I want to give you some tips to achieve a good Google speed score. So the first tip I want to give you is remove unnecessary plugins. So make sure to only have plugins installed and activated that are really necessary for your website. Remove all the other plugins that you really don't use or don't need, and that alone can really help the impact of the Google speed test score. So the next tip I want to give you is use correct sizes for the images that you use on your website. Don't upload images in the wrong size, basically. That can really have a huge impact on your website, on the speed score. So always make sure that the images that you upload to use on your website already have the correct size as you want to display them on your website. Make sure that you upload the images in the correct size. The next tip I want to give you is keep your website simple, because there are many cool features and widgets that you can add to your website. With Elementor, for example, you have a lot of cool widgets available, and especially beginners, they are tempted to use a lot of widgets to make their website really stand out, but keep your website as simple as possible. So to give you an example, over here you can see the homepage of my website. Now it's set up like this, with basically it's a heading, body text, buttons. This one, this is a widget for Elementor, another widget. Those basically are the same widget, so it's one widget, and then a button, heading, body text. So no other widgets I have used on the homepage. And before I had done all the optimization, I used a couple of widgets over here, like an accordion to expand things, to expand text and things like that. But when I had those widgets on the website that really impacted the score of the speed test. So therefore I removed them and replaced them just with normal body text and links and buttons. So that's another tip I wanted to give you. Another tip to achieve the 100% score for SEO is to use a SEO plugin. For example, you can use the Yoast SEO plugin that you can use for free for WordPress websites. And in another tutorial, I have already explained step by step how you can optimize your website with Yoast and also in combination with Elementor. Those two are integrated. You can really easily optimize your website, your pages, and your posts for SEO. So make sure to do that, and then you can run a test. And if the score is not 100 yet, you can see the tips that the Google speed test will give you, and then you can optimize those to really achieve the maximum score. And the last tip I want to give you in this video is make sure you don't use too many fonts for your designs. This can really limit the speed of your website. So preferably use only 1 or 2 different fonts. So keep that in mind, and after you have done the SG Optimizer plugin settings and taken all the tips into account that I've given you in this tutorial, then you should be able to really get a good speed test results. Unfortunately, there are also certain things that you really can't do too much about yourself if you don't use a paid plugin. Maybe in another tutorial I will show you how you can really get everything to 100 with a paid plugin. But if you don't use paid plugins, then you just have to accept that some things you really can't have an influence on yourself because they are related to the hosting that you're using, for example, the plugins that you use. But if you follow the steps in this tutorial, you should be able to get a really good score. So I hope this tutorial was helpful. If that's the case, make sure to smash a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the channel, and if you want to stay up to date on new videos that will be uploaded, make sure to click on the notification bell. With that being said, take care, and I'll see you back again in the next video.